Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm Mohammed Ahmedna. I'm the Dean of the College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences here at North Carolina A&T State University. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to the AgrAbility Live Project virtual workshop. It's been almost 30 years since AgrAbility was implemented after being recommended in the 1990 Farm Bill. And since then, the program has created a lasting partnership between land-grant universities like North Carolina A&T, the USDA National Institute of Food and Agriculture, and nonprofits that serve people with disabilities. It has also impacted people all across the nation. Using the resource and support network provided through AgrAbility, thousands of farmers and their families have seen their economic well-being enhanced and their quality of life improved. Hardworking people who otherwise might have given up on farming or never entered agriculture have been able to overcome their disabilities because of AgrAbility. They've not only improved their own lives, they've helped their neighbors and their communities by being active and successful in the agricultural sector. They put food on our tables and contribute to ensuring rural communities remain vibrant and sustainable. Over the years, AgrAbility expanded to offer services and outreach to the youth in 4-H and in agricultural programs at academic institutions, veterans, beginning farmers, retirees, and so many others who don't want to give up the dream of working on the land because of a limitation. The program has helped rural communities become more accessible and more welcoming to residents of different abilities. And in turn, these communities have benefited from the contribution of a more diverse population. As we face a future with a burgeoning population that need to be fed, a natural environment that need to be sustained, and a farming population that is aging, the mission of AgrAbility become ever more important. If we are to feed the world we need an agricultural sector that is accessible to all, that uses the technologies to enhance individual capabilities, and that deliver the most up-to-date information and education quickly and in the most appropriate ways. Feeding the planet is one of the most important jobs that anyone can have. It takes commitment and true love of the land to succeed. And we can't afford to turn anyone away who has that love and commitment because of a physical limitation, an age, or a lack of service and resources at their disposal. And that's what AgrAbility is all about in its core. Yes, the workshop presentation that you will participate in today will likely benefit you directly. But in the long run, they will also help all of us because a more diverse and inclusive agricultural sector benefit everyone who eats. Once again, thank you and welcome. I hope this workshop is enjoyable as well as educational. And I place to you that North Carolina A&T's College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences will always be a partner and a supporter of AgrAbility, its mission and its vision. Have a great workshop and thanks again.
And now I'm going to leave you with Chuck Baldwin, who is the Underserved Populations Outreach Coordinator at the National AgrAbility Project, and with Ed Sheldon, who's the Farmer Veteran Job Coach and Engagement Coordinator, also at the National AgrAbility Project at Purdue University. Thank you.
Great, thanks for that, Betty. Can everybody hear me? Nod your heads. Yes, yes. Okay, great. As Betty just said, my name's Chuck, and I'm the Underserved Populations Outreach Coordinator at Purdue, which is currently housed at Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana. Now, in addition to North Carolina A&T and the National AgrAbility Project, this workshop is also being presented by National AgrAbility Project's partners in the USDA's 2501 project. It's called the LIFE Project, and it's a project that is geared towards serving socially disadvantaged farmers, ranchers, and veterans in agriculture. And those other partners are the Legacy Farming and Health Group and People's Foundation. You will be hearing more from them in a later session during this workshop. On behalf of the National AgrAbility Project, the Legacy Farming and Health Group, and People's Foundation, we want to give a big thank you to North Carolina A&T, and especially to the great staff of North Carolina AgrAbility for hosting this virtual workshop and for all of the work they put into making this happen for all of us. North Carolina A&T currently has the distinction of being the only 1890 historically Black land-grant institution to have sole ownership of an AgrAbility project grant. There are a number of other 1890s who are partners with their state's 1862 land grant on an AgrAbility project, but with the others, it's the 1862 that has the lead. So we would like to encourage all 1890 land grant institutions listening to this to please continue to compete for the AgrAbility grants, and we'll look forward to your joining the AgrAbility family. As you take in the information we're about to share with you, they've already mentioned, if you have questions or have any comments you want to make, please put those into the chat box. And especially for questions that you want answered at the end of this session, please make those questions to Tess McKeel. You'll need to choose who you send your questions to. Please note that that goes to Tess McKeel, and she'll put those together with us. We'll be hearing from her at the end of the session. Now, in this morning's presentation, there should be something for everyone who is involved in agriculture in any way. And I think I can best illustrate why by asking each of you a question. Do you know of someone who's working in agriculture, farming or ranching, who's having to do it with arthritis, or perhaps a back problem, maybe some type of injury or illness, or just the symptoms of aging like hearing impairment or visual impairment? I have never asked that question without seeing everybody's hands go up, because we all know somebody whose life is being affected by something, even if it's what we call old age. And when accidents, sickness, or aging strike, AgrAbility is available to help. While you may not need AgrAbility services today, knowing what AgrAbility is and does and how to contact us can serve you well when the time comes. I'm going to share my screen now.
The National AgrAbility Program serves farm and ranch families touched by disability. It's about breaking down barriers and breaking new ground. The AgrAbility mission is to enhance and protect quality of life and preserve livelihoods. It's about supporting and promoting growth and independence. Ultimately, it's about hope.
I was teaching microbiology at Northern Oklahoma College, and then my other job, full-time job, was ranching and farming. And when my accident happened, April 21st, 2004, obviously it turns your world upside down. What I was driving was called a rye wicker. This was only the second day that I'd ever driven a piece of equipment. I was seat belted into it, and I was moving out of one field and I was going to another one, and I came up through the bar ditch and it flipped right over on top of me. When that happened, I was pinned underneath it and I was folded up like a U, and broke my T12 vertebrae on my spine, shot the bone fragments into my spinal cord.
I was injured in 1983 in Maryland, and at the time I had two children. One was 2 and one was 4 years old, and my injury was from a gunshot wound, a domestic violence situation. So the shot that was the worst was the one in my spine, but I had also an injury to my hand and my upper arm. So I was 10 months in the rehabilitation facility up in Baltimore. And so, all this was going on, and we actually just focused more on, getting ourselves back together. We kind of referred to ourselves as the Three Musketeers, because it was just us. It was a new life we were now engaging in. It wasn't over, but it was certainly different.
AgrAbility provides a variety of services to help promote independence and productivity. While AgrAbility does not provide equipment or funding, staff members are often able to help secure funding for modifications, assistive technology, and vital services through state vocational rehabilitation services and other means.
Well, AgrAbility has really helped me out. Conquered a lot of challenges, from opening shed doors to having lifts on the tractor to hand controls in my pickup, portable hand controls, lift in my pickup, all very necessary to a farming operation.
With the AgrAbility program, one of the big things that they had done too was there's a Ventrac machine that Kuwait brought down for me to use, and I had always been pushing out into the first couple of rows of trees to weed, you know, hand weed, and usually by the time I got to the 5th row, I was pretty worn out. So then going down the road to weed, and by the time I was done, I was pretty flat worn, because it's really hard to push in the grass with a wheelchair. So I would just kind of like do one row at a time every evening. So when Kuwait said something about, well, we've got this thing, it's kind of like a little tricycle thing. You just wheel your wheelchair up into it. So when he brought that, it was like, oh boy, am I cut loose here.
Now I can get into the tractor. I can go out and do field work, which it's one of those things that it's almost therapy for me. You know, you get out there and you feel like, hey, you know what, I'm back home.
Definitely, and for me, it is just great to see John so self-reliant again, and to be able to get his life back and have a passion for life. And AgrAbility definitely was a big part in doing that, and giving him the tools and equipment in order to get his life back and that enjoyment back and smile back of life.
The people that are farmers in this country, I mean, it's in their blood, you know, and it's something that really means a lot to them. And for them to lose it is not just, you know, like they're displaced for temporarily. It really takes almost the soul out of them, I think. And to be able to get them back working in the earth, or, you know, working in the ground, and just being under the clouds, and, you know, working just outside with nature, it really is important. And in whatever aspect we can, you know, make that happen for them, you know, we really need to hone in on that, and then also help motivate them to let them know that, you know, we're here to make it work for you. If it's adaptive equipment, you know, some assistive technology, you know, just whatever it takes, because, you know, we understand, you know, where your heart is, and it's out here, you know, and in our case, among the trees.
Currently, approximately half the states around the country have an AgrAbility project. If you would like to obtain more information concerning AgrAbility or request services, visit www.agrability.org or call 800-825-4264.
AgrAbility is one of those seemingly hidden jewels of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It does not cost you anything to have one of our professionals visit your farm or ranch to discuss your goals and to see what can be done, given whatever limitations you may have, to accomplish those goals safely and more comfortably. The vision of AgrAbility is to enhance quality of life for farmers, ranchers, and other agricultural workers with disabilities. Now, a lot of us don't care for the word disability, so often we use functional limitations. I think that's because disability seems to indicate that a person is disabled and can't work, and in most cases, that's not true. Disability, as AgrAbility defines it, takes in a very broad spectrum of ailments. It's not just the extremely difficult things like amputations or spinal cord injuries, but it's also those things like arthritis, hearing impairments, PTSD, or stroke that people have, and basically anything that keeps a person from being able to work at 100% on the farm. We are happy to work with you. It doesn't matter what the cause of the disability might be. It could be traumatic injury. Agriculture is one of the most hazardous occupations in the world, usually somewhere in the top 3. Many injuries don't come on the farm, they come from off-farm accidents, and that's fine. It doesn't matter the cause, we're there to serve you. It might be from disease. Arthritis impacts many farmers. Approximately 15 to 20% of the farm population is impacted by disability, and that means that 1 to 2.25 million farmers, ranchers, and ag workers are impacted by disability in some way. The average age of U.S. farmers is nearly 58, and so as we age, you all know, that makes a difference in how we're able to work. Now, I'm going to pass this over to Ed Sheldon to let him share with you some of the special populations that we with or have emphases on in AgrAbility. Ed, go ahead.
Thanks, Chuck. Appreciate the opportunity to share about AgrAbility this morning. As Chuck said, my name is Ed Sheldon. I work with the National AgrAbility Project in a couple of different capacities, but as an engagement coordinator, and I also work with some of our veteran outreach programs. So as we move into this segment of the talk, first thing I want to say before we even hit this slide is that we serve everybody in agriculture. But over the years, we've identified some specific segments of the population, specific populations who perhaps if we continue to do things as we always have, or might not receive the attention or the services that we provide if we don't make a special effort to help serve them. And as you see on this slide, there are some populations that we've identified as AgrAbility staff where we've made a special effort to extend our services, our materials, our resources to ensure that they're able to receive the benefits of the program as well. Socially disadvantaged veterans, beginning farmers, and we also have a programs for old order or Amish groups. I'll talk a little bit about each one of those. The term socially disadvantaged can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. We tend to follow the USDA's designation of socially disadvantaged, which includes African American, American Indian, Asian American, or Latino farmers. And there are several USDA programs that are specific to these groups as socially disadvantaged farmers. Obviously, the term itself could apply to many other groups as well, but according to USDA, these are what USDA defines as socially disadvantaged. Interestingly, for those of you involved in AgrAbility, disability is not specified as being part of a socially disadvantaged situation. Now, obviously, many folks within those socially disadvantaged groups also may have disabilities. So, of course, we reach out to those. How do we reach socially disadvantaged populations? For years, AgrAbility's conducted workshops at 1890 land grant institutions for historically Black universities, as well as 1994 land grant institutions for Native American populations. Have a very strong outreach with the National Black Farmers Association, and was fortunate, Chuck and I were fortunate enough over the past 3 days or 4 days to just return from the NBFA conference in Boydton, Virginia. So it was a very interesting, great time. We appreciate their hospitality. As most of you, I'm sure, are aware, there's a very strong Hispanic influence in agriculture, and especially in some segments of agriculture that depend on migrant labor, or not necessarily even migrant labor, just very strong Hispanic labor force within agriculture. And that creates some unique challenges, and we've focused on providing programming in Spanish language, Spanish programming, as well as materials that are published in Spanish that are appropriate for the audience. Individual assistance, I don't believe any substitute for the staff member, the AgrAbility staff that goes out and works one-on-one with an individual at their home, at their farm, sit across the kitchen table to work with that individual to how to make their life better, how to better address their particular situation. Youth programming, AgrAbility's always supported youth programming, whether it's 4-H or FFA programs to reach the agricultural audience. I believe later in the week you'll hear from our Life Project counterparts about some of the youth programs that the Life Project has going, and the People's Foundation, as well as the Legacy Farming and Health program. Go ahead and switch slides, Chuck. Okay. Some specific resources for underserved populations. We have a website set up on the agrability.org website for underserved populations that includes those groups that I just mentioned, the socially disadvantaged and veterans. We have a wide variety of resources that are connected, and we're linked to a wide variety of resources. Many of those are USDA programs specifically for underserved or socially disadvantaged audiences. And we also have an introduction to our Life Project on that site, as well as it fits right in with the underserved populations target audience. Okay, veterans and beginning farmers. We've always served veterans. Veterans are proportionally overrepresented in rural America. There are a very significant proportion of military personnel are hail from rural areas, and that's where they return to when they're done with their military service. And as such, we've always served veterans, but only in the past few years have we really made an effort to specifically identify those folks, those clientele who are veterans. In the early years of AgrAbility, and prior to that, the Breaking the Ground project at Purdue University, most of our veterans that we worked with were from the Korea or Vietnam era. And while we still are fortunate enough to be able to work with some of those folks, there are more and more of our clientele now represent either the Gulf War, or even more specific, or more likely the Greater War on Terror, which has been going on for about 20 years in Iraq and Afghanistan. So we've seen a large influx of clientele who are veterans of those particular conflicts, and they have a variety of unique needs, and how we go about offering services to them or this particular group might be different than what we'd say our typical audience would be. You jumped on my slide. We do have a variety of different resources specifically for veterans. Again, on our AgrAbility website, we have a Veterans and Beginning Farmers website. The reason we lump veterans and beginning farmers together is that the needs tend to be very similar, and there's a lot of overlap. A lot of veterans return from the service and maybe have had no contact with agriculture before, but find that it's a great way to readapt to society, to find their niche, and try to and end up entering agriculture with maybe no experience. So again, there would be a lot of overlap between materials. In addition, many of the USDA programs specify as either open to beginning farmers, veterans, or socially disadvantaged farmers. So there's going to be a lot of overlap, and there is a huge variety of resources on that page that are applicable to any of those audiences. And it's also cross-referenced with the socially disadvantaged or the underserved populations page. The next mission is a 20-minute video that highlights the experiences of several veterans that across the country that AgrAbility has worked with. Very inspiring stories. I encourage you to hop on the website and take a direct link to and view the next mission when you have a few minutes to spend. AgrAbility staff work very closely with the Farmer Veteran Coalition, which is a national organization that is there to support veterans in agriculture. Our national project director, Dr. Bill Field, is a board member of the Farmer Veteran Coalition on a national level, and has been involved with the program since its inception, basically. We also have a veteran outreach coordinator, Cindy Chastain, who works with us at Purdue on the national staff. Cindy is a 30+ year veteran of the Army and the Indiana Army National Guard. Is a veteran of the Afghanistan conflict, where she led a group of service people who were an agricultural outreach mission to the Afghan people. So she has a lot of experience and is also a farmer herself. So great resource for our veterans. Homegrown by Heroes is a Farmer Veteran Coalition program that AgrAbility supports in any way we can, which is a branding program for veteran farmers, as a branding program for their products. Indiana AgVets is an Indiana specific program that we're involved with in Indiana, but there are other programs throughout the country. The Indiana program is essentially a training and certification program where we're training and putting veterans through internship programs in agricultural occupations, not necessarily farming. Agriculture, very wide ranging, agriculture in the big sense, and that could be service industries, that could be a mechanic at a dealership, chemical dealer, so on and so forth. But what we're trying to do, in the USDA, who sponsors the AgVets programs across the country, which I believe now there are about 18 or 20 of those, basically a twofold goal: give veterans a boost and a leg up onto a career in agriculture, and perhaps just as importantly, bring good people into agriculture, because we're always looking for good people to serve in that and help feed the next generation. Go ahead and switch slide, Chuck. Okay. Kind of a unique niche we have, and is some specific outreach to Amish and old order sects, such as the Mennonites. We've developed programs and resources that specifically meet their needs and fit their customs and lifestyle. Most of those folks probably aren't going to be watching this webinar, so we need to adapt our outreach, our materials, our resources, our programming, where we can fit their lifestyle and their needs. And Chuck's done a lot of work in that area and works with many people, many individuals, and Amish population is growing around the country, and many of our state programs do work directly with many of the Amish populations or old order populations in their states. Go ahead. Okay, how do we go about? How do we provide our services? I guess first and foremost, I'd say we're an educational opportunity, or an educational organization, by providing workshops, resources, online education programs such as what you're watching today. We do everything we can to not reinvent the wheel. We'd like to leverage our efforts. There are a lot of other groups out there that work, whether it's nonprofits, other governmental organizations, educational organizations, that work with folks with disabilities. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. What we need to do is leverage our efforts with theirs so that we can better serve both of our client bases. Direct assistance, that's where AgrAbility staff members, whether from the individual state staffs or perhaps the national staff, go out and visit. That's that back sitting at the kitchen table or in the farm shop, figuring out what what that individual or that family needs to achieve their goals and dreams and be able to be successful in their farming enterprise. And finally, we wouldn't exist if we didn't market ourselves in some way. You'll find AgrAbility at many of the different national, regional farm shows, trade shows, programs such as, or events put on by other organizations such as Farm Bureau or other farm organizations. That's how we meet people, and look for us the next time you're at a farm show. We hopefully we'll be there. What do we not provide? And this was referred to in the It's About Hope video that we watched at the very beginning. We don't provide funding. Unfortunately, that's not our mission. I think we get asked on a very regular basis, can I get funding through AgrAbility? The short answer is no, but that's not our job. We're an educational and outreach program. However, our staff works very closely, primarily through state vocational rehabilitation programs. Our job is to help connect our clients with those funds. There are a variety of different programs, activities, funds out there that are available. And our job is to work directly with our individual clientele to get those people connected with those potential funds and those potential sources of income, or sources of, whether it's assistive technology or other support. So with that, I think it's time to turn it back over to Chuck. Yep. You're muted, Chuck.
Thank you. Among the educational resources that AgrAbility has, probably the primary one is our website at www.agrability.org. And if you go there, you can find all kinds of great information, project information, and contacts. If you want to know if there's an AgrAbility project in your state, there's a good map that's interactive there that you can follow. And if there is an AgrAbility project, it provides the names and contacts of staff in that AgrAbility project. If not, you can always contact the National AgrAbility Project, and our contacts are there as well. There are all kinds of downloadable resources. There are videos. There are PDFs of books and various manuals that we have developed over the years that you can download, print yourself, or use in any way that you need to do. There is online training. We have a library of webinars such as this one on a wide variety of topics, and it's something that I think you'd enjoy looking into someday when you have a bit of time. There is news and upcoming events. This helps to keep our clients in touch with various things that are going on in agriculture and in education that may apply to those who have limitations in agriculture. One of the favorite things that a person can find on the Toolbox is an assistive technology database that is found on our website. It's also available in print or on CD, but most people access it through the website at www.agrability.org/toolbox. There are more than 1,600 products and ideas in the toolbox that help farmers and ranchers with disabilities. And if it makes life easier or more comfortable for them, it means it makes life easier and more comfortable for many who do not have disabilities. So please do check that out. Again, when you have the chance, I think you'll appreciate what you find there. We have a number of resources that are in print. And as I mentioned, you can also find these in PDF format on our website. One of those is titled Back on the Farm, Back in the Saddle. Back problems are the most common disabling conditions reported by our AgrAbility clients. This is a 21-page booklet that discusses a lot of the aspects of back problems in ag settings. And so again, feel free to take a look at that when you're on our website. We also have a number of resources that deal with arthritis. You have links to other organizations that deal with arthritis. You can contact them. We have in print several resources. Arthritis in Agriculture is one. You see it on the left there. We have plain facts about arthritis. This is a special booklet made for the Amish and the plainclothes old order Mennonites. We have Could Arthritis Be the Cause of My Pain, available in Spanish. And we have Gaining Ground on Arthritis as a DVD. As you can see, there are a number of resources available. Once again, please visit our website to find these or contact us. Oops. I wanted to mention that while arthritis is one of the main disabilities that we have, we've already mentioned that we treat anything. So what happens if one day you decide to call AgrAbility's 800 number? Let's say you call and you tell us that you do have arthritis and it's slowing you down or it's making life harder for you. You're wondering how you can get your foot up on the first step of the ladder. What happens when you call us? Well, if it's something where we can point out to you some tools or other resources that make life easier for you, we can do that right on the phone. On the other hand, if it's a situation where you'd like us to come out to your farm, take a look at your operation together, talk about your hopes and your plans, and come up with something together that can help you to accomplish those goals more safely, more easily, we would be happy to do that. We'll send someone out and like a good friend, we'll sit there and listen to you. We believe in you, and we'll put our heads together and come up with something that will work for you. It might be something as simple as well, like one of my favorite people in Georgia by the name of Miss Ruby Davis, who was helped by an AgrAbility affiliate in Georgia called Farm Again. And with their help, she found some ingenious ways to continue farming in spite of her arthritis. We want to thank Georgia AgrAbility for sharing Miss Ruby's story with us.
My name is Ruby T. Davis. T is for Threadcraft. That's my maiden name. I am the proud owner of Ruby's Garden. I am an organic garden farmer. I believe if you eat better, you're going to be healthier. And when you are healthier, you're going to want to do more. And once you get up and do, that's going to help you in all kinds of ways. Arthritis has impacted me lifting, opening things, holding things a certain way. I can't do that anymore. Farm Again has done a lot to help me. It's a chicken coop. I call it a portable chicken coop. I don't have to go inside. I just open it, get my eggs, open it, feed them. I can move them to another grassy spot all by myself. The water thing is the neatest one for me. Chickens will just put the feed in water and make it all dirty. They have a 5-gallon container, and they have like little nipples, 4 of them at the bottom of it. And the water is clean, so about once every 2 weeks, I just wash it out. It helps me so that I can make sure that my chickens eat green grass. And then in that way, it makes the eggs from the chickens free-range fed. I see having chickens ready for the market for Thanksgiving and Christmas time. One of the main things you all has done with helping me to put up the hoop house, that allows us to have green vegetables all year round. And that's a big plus. Because physically, I can't do that, you know. And it's one thing to figure out how it works, but it's another one to get it up there. And working over your head is harder than doing something down lower. This time next year, I'll have tomatoes going on after season because the frost won't kill the vine like it does here, and it'll keep the temperature warm enough that you can grow other stuff. There's nothing stopping me now. Ruby's Garden is in full force. You make me feel that you're part of my team.
There is so much more to AgrAbility, but there you have an introduction. AgrAbility is a tool that you can put in your pocket, put in your memory for that day when something slows you down with your farm work, for that time when a neighbor perhaps has an accident that affects his mobility and he starts thinking that he can't farm any longer. for that time when you start to age and begin to think that maybe you're not quite as safe as you used to be backing implements into the barn or around your grandchildren. AgrAbility can help you stay productive and do it more safely than you might think possible. So please call or write us at the contacts that you see on your screen.